In the annals of music history, few names resonate with the same power and mystique as Michael Jackson. His unparalleled artistry, groundbreaking performances, and a voice that defied categorization cemented his status as the king of pop. But before the global fame, before the iconic moonwalk, before the dazzling spectacle, there was simply Michael, a young boy from a working-class town, brimming with an extraordinary, undeniable talent. To truly understand the legend, we must journey back to where it all began, to a small house in Gary, Indiana, and the family that would shape his destiny. Our story opens in Gary, Indiana, a city forged in the crucible of American industry. By the mid-20th century, Gary was a bustling hub, dominated by the colossal steel mills of U.S. Steel. But beneath the smokestacks and the roar of industry, life for many families was a constant struggle. It was a place of hard work, tight-knit communities, and limited opportunities. In this landscape, on August 29, 1958, Michael Joseph Jackson was born, the seventh of 10 children to Joseph and Catherine Jackson, into a home that would soon become the birthplace of a musical dynasty. Joseph Walter Jackson, a Mississippi transplant, was a formidable presence. A hard-working crane operator at U.S. Steel, Joseph harbored unfulfilled musical ambitions from his youth. He had once played guitar with a local blues band called the Falcons. Though his own dreams of stardom faded, the disciplined, often stern patriarch saw something extraordinary in his children. He recognized a raw, untapped potential, especially in their inherent rhythm and vocal abilities. Joseph was determined that his children would succeed where he had not, no matter the cost. In stark contrast to Joseph's stern demeanor was Catherine Esther Jackson, a devout Jehovah's Witness whose gentle spirit and unwavering love grounded the boisterous household. Catherine was the anchor, providing comfort and nurturing creativity. She would often sing and play the piano for her children, instilling in them a deep appreciation for music and harmony. While Joseph provided the discipline and direction, Catherine fostered their spiritual and emotional well-being, her quiet strength a crucial balance to the intense environment that would soon define the Jackson family's path to stardom. Music was an ever-present force in the Jackson home, almost another member of the family. The older brothers, encouraged by Joseph, began experimenting with instruments. Tito, just 12 years old, would secretly play his father's guitar, a prized possession Joseph usually kept under lock and key. Jackie and Jermaine honed their vocal harmonies, often performing impromptu songs. Michael, still a small child, was an acute observer. He would watch, listen, and absorb every note, every movement, an eager sponge soaking up the burgeoning musical energy that filled their modest living room. What started as observation quickly transformed into participation. One day, during a family rehearsal, the unthinkable happened. Joseph's guitar string broke, leading to a tense moment. Tito, fearing his father's wrath, confessed to playing it. But then, Michael, barely 5 years old, stepped forward and sang with such astonishing power and emotion that it silenced the room. His voice, clear and soulful, belied his tender age. It was a revelation. Everyone present knew this was no ordinary child, this was a prodigious talent waiting to be unleashed. Joseph Jackson, ever the pragmatist, immediately recognized the commercial potential of his children's burgeoning talent, especially Michael's. He swiftly took charge, forming a group initially known as the Jackson Brothers, featuring Jackie, Tito, and Jermaine. Joseph purchased instruments, turning their cramped living room into a rehearsal space. The boys would practice relentlessly, driven by their father's unyielding demands for perfection. This was no longer just a hobby, it was a serious undertaking, laying the foundation for something far greater than anyone could have imagined. Initially, young Michael and his brother Marlon were relegated to playing percussion, providing rhythm with tambourines and bongos. But Michael's charismatic stage presence and incredible vocal range proved too powerful to keep in the background. His ability to mimic James Brown's dance moves and his innate understanding of performance made him a natural frontman. It wasn't long before Joseph made the pivotal decision: Michael would become the lead vocalist. The group was rebranded as the Jackson 5, a name that would soon echo around the world. Joseph Jackson ran rehearsals with military precision. After long days at school, the boys would return home to hours of practice, sometimes extending late into the night. Joseph's discipline was legendary, enforced with a leather strap he famously named Tito. Mistakes were not tolerated, and perfection was the only standard. While undeniably harsh, this relentless regimen instilled an unmatched work ethic and stage discipline that became the hallmark of the Jackson 5. They were being forged in a crucible of demanding expectations, preparing them for the relentless demands of show business. The Jackson 5 began to make a name for themselves in the local talent circuit of Gary and nearby Chicago. They performed at school functions, nightclubs, and amateur shows, often opening for striptease acts in seedy venues not typically suitable for children. But Michael, even at 7 or 8 years old, possessed an extraordinary charisma that transcended their surroundings. His incredible vocal prowess and electrifying stage presence captivated audiences, often winning them over despite the initial surprise of seeing young children perform with such professional polish. A pivotal moment arrived in August 1967 when the Jackson 5 competed in the famous amateur night at the Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York. Joseph borrowed a van, driving his entire family to New York for this crucial opportunity. Performing The Temptations' My Girl, the boys delivered an electrifying performance that wowed the notoriously tough Apollo crowd. They took home the grand prize, a significant achievement that validated Joseph's vision and fueled the family's belief that they were destined for something bigger. It was a taste of national recognition, a fleeting glimpse of the future. Word of the talented young group began to spread beyond Gary. In 1967, while performing at a Chicago club, the Jackson 5 caught the attention of soul singer Gladys Knight. Impressed by their raw talent and Michael's undeniable stage presence, Knight immediately recommended them to Berry Gordy, the legendary founder of Motown Records. She saw in them the next big sensation, a group with the potential to transcend genres and captivate a global audience. Her endorsement was a crucial step, opening the door to the next, much larger chapter of their journey. However, it wasn't Gladys Knight who officially brought them to Motown. It was Bobby Taylor of Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, who saw the Jackson 5 performing at the Regal Theater in Chicago in July 1968. Blown away by Michael's magnetic performance and the group's tight harmonies, Taylor arranged for them to audition for Motown. He spent months mentoring them, even bringing them to Detroit to record demos. Taylor passionately advocated for the boys, seeing their potential to revitalize Motown's roster with fresh, youthful energy. In July 1968, the Jackson 5 finally secured an audition with Motown Records in Detroit. Berry Gordy himself was not present, initially, as he was vacationing. However, Joseph, persistent as ever, secured a second audition upon Gordy's return. The boys, impeccably dressed and rehearsed, performed a medley of Motown hits and their own original material. Michael's performance was reportedly so captivating that it brought tears to Gordy's eyes. He saw not just talent, but raw, unadulterated star power. It was a moment of destiny, the culmination of years of relentless effort and sacrifice. Following the successful audition, Berry Gordy signed the Jackson 5 to Motown Records. In 1969, the family made the monumental move from their humble home in Gary, Indiana, to sunny Los Angeles, California. This relocation marked a profound shift, exchanging the gritty, industrial landscape for the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. It was a world away from their origins, a place where dreams were manufactured and stars were born. The boys quickly adapted, their lives now centered around recording studios, dance rehearsals, and preparing for their grand debut. Under Berry Gordy's meticulous guidance, the Jackson 5 were polished into a pop phenomenon. Motown's legendary hit factory, with its stable of talented songwriters, producers, and choreographers, molded their raw talent into commercial gold. They were given a specific image, taught stage presence, and provided with catchy, universally appealing songs. Gordy was a master at crafting stars, and he saw in Michael Jackson the brightest star of them all, a performer who could transcend racial barriers and appeal to a massive, diverse audience. In October 1969, the Jackson 5 released their debut Motown single, I Want You Back. Penned by the corporation, a team of Motown writers and producers assembled by Berry Gordy, the song was an instant classic. Michael's incredibly soulful and mature vocals, combined with the infectious melody and the brothers' tight harmonies, made it an irresistible pop anthem. The energy was electric, the sound fresh, and the performance flawless. It was a declaration, a bold statement that a new force had arrived in the music world, ready to conquer hearts globally. I Want You Back was an unprecedented success, soaring to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart in January 1970. This achievement was monumental, especially for a group of young, African-American boys from Gary, Indiana. It wasn't just a hit song, it was a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, the entire nation, and soon the world, knew the names of the Jackson 5. The years of arduous practice, Joseph's unwavering discipline, and Catherine's quiet strength had finally culminated in a moment of undeniable triumph. Michael Jackson, the boy wonder, was officially a star. The success of I Want You Back was no fluke. Motown quickly followed up with a string of hits that cemented the Jackson 5's place in music history. ABC, The Love You Save, and I'll Be There all rocketed to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making the Jackson 5 the first group in history to have their first 4 singles reach the top spot. This unprecedented run of success was a testament to their talent, Berry Gordy's vision, and the undeniable magic of Michael Jackson. Their youthful energy and universal appeal made them household names overnight. By the spring of 1970, the Jackson 5 were a global phenomenon. They performed on national television, graced magazine covers, and their music dominated radio airwaves. But with this meteoric rise came a new set of challenges. The innocent days of Gary, Indiana, were a distant memory, replaced by the relentless demands of touring, recording, and maintaining their superstar status. Michael, the shy, sensitive boy, was now thrust into the unrelenting spotlight, his childhood transformed into an extraordinary, public spectacle. The journey had just truly begun, and the world was watching.